Hello, firearms friends. So if you've been in the world of sharpshooting, sniper rifles, or especially British military rifles or British sniper rifles, you already know about Accuracy International. They are, of course, very distinct rifles. They've been featured in any number of video games, and frankly, their reputation precedes them by quite a bit. If you're not familiar, they have a fantastic origin story. I won't go into the whole thing here, but it involves two of their founders, the two Daves, literally making replicas of Colt single-action armies and Colt 1860 armies via photos. They're eyeballing it, and they're that talented of machinists that they can, in their spare time, whip these up. And then, somebody comes along and says, well, if you're making revolvers, old Colts that well, you should try your hand at precision rifles. And so they do, and they get target rifles, and they come in contact with an Olympian, and he uses their rifles, he starts winning. You guys should really make some specialized target rifles, and so they do. And because through their connections with this Olympian, they are able to kind of get wind of the British Ministry of Defence's rifle trials in the early to mid 80s. And despite them building their precision rifles and their target rifles, Olympic grade, mind you, but they're building them out of a shed. The two Daves are building what's going to become some of the world's premier rifle makers, and they're two guys in a shed. I don't know about you, but I'm endlessly entertained by that. From these humble gunsmith origins, it's a fantastic story. Long story short, they enter the rifle trials, of course, not expecting to win anything, but maybe they'll get some feedback and they can perfect their rifles even more. Now going into this, it is the early 80s. Most sniper military rifles at this point, and a lot of law enforcement for that matter as well, are not purpose-based rifles. You're dealing with a lot of either hunting rifles or retail rifles that have been kind of either scoped or barreled at some sort of national match version, or you're using national match versions of military rifles, scoped semi-automatics, things of that nature. So to come in with a purpose-built sniper rifle was quite a departure from the norm at that point, especially when you have one that looks like this, with the slab sides, the modular system that we've all kind of come to know and love from Accuracy International. It's their big hallmark, of course, besides the green and the big thumbhole stock. So they've entered this competition. It comes right down to the wire, surprisingly enough, between Accuracy International and Parker Hale and their M85. And of course, as we all know, Accuracy International's rifle wins. It's their PM, their precision marksman, and it becomes adopted. In 1985, the Special Boat Service, the British SBS, buys 8 of them. That same year, the SAS, the Special Air Service, buys 32, and it is the beginning of all things for Accuracy International. Of course, it doesn't take other nations long to catch on to all the goodness that's happening from Accuracy International. So right behind them, the Swedes, of course, are requesting their own version. A couple modifications, of course, for colder climates, one might say Arctic climates. So you have larger thumbhole stocks, larger trigger guards, ledges on the bottom of your magazine for easy gripping, bolts that won't seize in cold weather, things like that, supposedly down to like negative 40 degrees. They have all these cold weather or Arctic specs, and so the PM, the precision marksman, becomes the AW, the Arctic Warfare. And Sweden adopts that, and the British like a lot of these changes as well, so they're going to adopt a lot of the changes from the Arctic Warfare, briefly as the L118, but then eventually officially adopted as the L115A3. So you have Britain adopting these, you have Sweden adopting these, and several other countries as well by that time. Of course, it does not escape Germany that they could also stand to upgrade their arsenals of what I believe at that time were scoped G3 rifles. So fine rifles, but again, just shows you're either using special retail or sporting rifles, or you're using military rifles with a scope, essentially. So Germany, again, they're going to adopt the Arctic Warfare, but they're going to adopt a special version that has come up by that point. It's the AWM-F. Well, AW, Arctic Warfare, M for Magnum, -F for folding stock. This is the first time that AI has introduced a folding stock. It's what the Bundeswehr wants. That's what the Bundeswehr gets. And they adopt that as the G22, the Scharfschützengewehr 22. And that is essentially what we have right here. This is an extremely rare rifle to have in-house, and it's all the things you want to see on a G22. All the features, the two-piece muzzle device, of course, with a threaded cap, so if you are going to suppress it, suppressing a 300 Win Mag, long fluted barrel, of course, the fluted barrels AI did away with in later years, bipod up front, rails for night vision to go in front of your scope. The scope is a Herzalt 3x12x56 scope, so definitely capable of handling that cartridge and extending its range. 5-round single stack mag, again, folding stock, cheap piece, adjustable butt, single monopod in the back. Like, it's everything you want out of a G22. Now, while AI is gearing up production for the G22, they elected to make 10 G22 rifles for the American commercial market. Now, whether this was going to be a test or whether it was going to be sort of a sampling as collector pieces or to just kind of tease the market for eventual full production, I don't know. But there were only 10 made for the American commercial market. It's a very specific serial number range, and this is number 007. You can see it all right here on the right side of the receiver. It's 98. Of course, that is the year that production started. So neat to see that first year of production right there. G22 and then 20007 or 007. Very limited serial number range. They are numbered 20001 to 20,010, and just a phenomenal opportunity to pick up an Accuracy International. These guns have been, I think, a bit more of a presence internationally than America, at least as far as their adoption is concerned. Popularity is another matter, but so I don't want to anger any AI collectors or fans over here. They certainly have people who are passionate about them in the States, but obviously they haven't seen the adoption numbers that they have internationally. So to have a G22 in-house, to have a G22 in America, I mean, it's a moon rock. It's an absolute moon rock. I'm very excited to have it and to hold it and to touch at it and look through the scope. And it's a real treat to have inside. And it is available this weekend in our August 26th, 27th, 28th Premier Firearms Auction. It is lot 540. So it's selling on Friday, day one. To place your bids, hop on to rockislandauction.com. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, keep your powder dry.